This message is brought to you by Wonder Wellness Cannabis Gummies. Where is your journey to wellness taking you today? Wonder offers the convenience of effects-forward, low-dose gummies to take you there. Relax, laugh, or focus. It's your choice. It's cannabis in control. Discover the wonder of cannabis and wellness. Visit us at wonderwellness.co. These products are intended for persons 21 plus in Illinois. Individual experiences may vary. This message is brought to you by Wonder Wellness Cannabis Gummies. Where is your journey to wellness taking you today? Wonder offers the convenience of effects-forward, low-dose gummies to take you there. Relax, laugh, or focus. It's your choice. It's cannabis in control. Discover the wonder of cannabis and wellness. Visit us at wonderwellness.co. These products are intended for persons 21 plus in Illinois. Individual experiences may vary.
This is the In This League Fantasy Podcast Network. In This League Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Online at inthisleague.com. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Interact and follow the show on Twitter at InThisLeaguePod. Now, here's your hosts, Bogman and the Welsh.
This is the In This League Fantasy Baseball Podcast, MLB Trade Deadline Emergency Podcast. I'm the Welsh. That's Bogman. Holy fucking shit.
Most active trade deadline ever. All 30 teams made a trade.
Every single team made a trade.
10 All-Stars. It's the most ever. 10 All-Stars that made the All-Star game this year were traded.
Bogman, may I for a second? Holy whoa. Like, to the point, I'll give you an example of how insane this was. Like, you wake up and there's just guys are traded left and right. You go to sleep, guys are traded left and right. I had a 30-minute block in the middle of like the last couple hours where I had to go do a thing at my kid's school. 30 minutes. When I'm done and I walk out, somehow Nick Madrigal was a Cub. And it was like, and Spencer Howard had been traded to the Rangers. And it was like, you couldn't breathe. To this moment where we're recording this, just this second, Richard Rodriguez got traded. This was one of those things that came in right before the wire, but you know, the last little reporting is done. This emergency podcast is happening 30 minutes after the trade deadline. So you guys will probably have this, you know, close to an hour after it's done. And bar none, hands down, the most insane MLB trade line in the history of baseball. I know I saw some people trying to start to compare it. The last couple hours just completely threw that out. You said it. Every single team made a trade. 10 All-Stars were traded. Every turn it was, oh my God, this guy, that guy, the other thing. And we at every moment, there was something that threw a curveball at us. Here's a perfect example. We did the radio show. When we did the radio show on Thursday, Max Scherzer was all but a San Diego Padre, and Max Scherzer is a Los Angeles Dodger.
Yeah, I mean, that was...
And Trey Turner was involved in it too, by the way.
Right.
I flipped my goddamn head on its axis when I saw that Trey Turner was going in that deal as well. I could not believe it. And then furthermore, when you saw the return, you're like, there's no Gavin Lux. I was assured Gavin Lux was involved in that trade. Nope. They got Jojo Gray, Kyber Ruiz, and nothing else matters for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. Today is the ultimate win for the fantasy owner that sends bad trades. This trade deadline, is an absolute win for that person that says like, hey, listen, man, you're not in it. You know, especially if you guys play in like contract years or salary dollared ones.
Is it more surprising? Let me ask you. Yeah. Is it more surprising that you got to calm down, dude? Did you drink all the coffee before we started this?
No.
You got to relax. But is it more surprising that all 30 teams did a trade? Everybody did a trade. 10 All-Stars got traded, and Trevor Story is still on the Rockies.
I mean, What's the question?
Someone,
what's the question you're asking me?
I can't remember if someone put it in the grooming room or if I just saw it on Twitter, but somebody said the Rockies are they're the owner in your league that got made fun of for offering bad trades, so they just never offered a trade again.
100%. So what was your question? Is it more surprising that they didn't trade Story, or that all 30 teams did, or
all these trades got done and Story wasn't involved in any of them? Which is more surprising that everything. I mean, the Braves literally traded for a new outfield. Yeah. Whole new outfield. Whole thing is new. So, I mean, is it more surprising that all these deals got done and Story is still a Rocky, or is it more surprising that all these deals got done?
I think it's an interesting question. I think if you put the context of, if you were told every single team in baseball will have traded a player.
I mean, the Rockies did do a trade. I can't even remember what it was.
Michael Givens. They traded Michael Givens.
That's what it was.
Ugh. That was it. Stupid trade. If you were to give the context, hey, 10 All-Stars and every team traded, and then you go, by the way, Trevor Story wasn't involved, you'd be like, what? Like, huh? Like, that's
I just think insane. It's the worst move. We talked about this
it's the worst
non-move. Times. Right, because their farm system is one of the lower ranked. I know you don't have them very high, and Longenhagen doesn't have them very high as far as the Rockies go.
They don't have a lot of great stuff. They got Zach Veen. Zach Veen is kind of their star, and they got a couple dudes like Michael Toglia. But yeah,
they just need more because their big league team sucks and their minor league system sucks. So what do you do when that happens? You trade away your big stars, you sink to the bottom, you try to rebuild, and they're not doing it. It's kind of ridiculous.
They prioritized a compensatory pick over whatever haul they could have got for Trevor Story. Now, listen, to be fair, I don't know what the market looked like exactly for Trevor Story. Not all these trades were equal. So let's do this for a second. The Chris Bryant one, very sad day for Cubs fans. We got like many Cub fans on our Patreon, which, by the way, you want to come and hang out, patreon.com/ITL Army. Come and check out all the stuff with the boys. August is my prospect update, by the way, is going to be.
Oh, good Lord.
I was just going through it before we started this. I want to say.
It's going to be the whole weekend for you.
Just changing teams. I want to say there were like 5 dudes in the top 100 that changed teams and more. That's just on the prospect side. The dynasty side, I'm like, click.
Yeah.
The Chris Bryant trade. That is not the greatest representation of superstar trades. Like, I think the Cubs kind of screwed up. Like, to be honest, they did better in the Rizzo side of it, in my mind, than they did on the Bryant side. You're giving Kevin Alcantara, though he's a little bit further, I think he's got, real stud ability, and he's actually going to be out here in the complex level. I guess the Cubs got a little bit closer to the majors, and Alexander Canario, who's got really big pop, and he's a fine outfielder and stuff, and he's probably like a year or two ahead. But
at least they got something. The Rockies, the Diamondbacks, some of these teams that didn't make any goddamn moves.
But that's what I'm saying with the Rockies.
Moves are ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying with the Rockies. It's like they prioritize getting, let's just hypothetically say, a Canario type prospect for a compensatory pick. And I have a hard time believing that they couldn't have pressed for even a tiny bit more. If you could have gotten, like, look at what Trey Turner and Scherzer got. Let's just hypothetically say you could have got like a JoJo Gray and a Ruiz type of player, like 2 decent prospects. That should be the priority, hands down. If you want to make an argument, a Canario or a compensatory pick, I still probably take the prospect, especially since you know a little bit more. But it is like a wild move. It is a wild move that the Rockies did nothing of impact with all of these players. Also with the market showed that it's hot and it's insane. It's insane the Rockies didn't do it, but Chris Bryant's going to the Giants now. That's their big bolstered move. He was kind of the last piece to fall. I think it went right before the deadline. And more shocking, it was reported like within the first couple seconds, and we found out it was a misreport, that Joey Bart and Lamont Wade were going.
Was that from Bob Nightingale?
You know what? It was from a blue check mark. It's a great question. I don't even remember who it was at this point, and I got to tell you, there's just no humanly possible way.
I saw Bob Nightingale got by a fake Jeff Passan account, which was funny. I mean, those stupid troll accounts are so ridiculous. But when a professional like that on that level gets got, it gives those guys credence to keep doing what they're doing, which I despise. So yeah.
It gives them I see the bad moon rising. They get the bad moon rising because they get Creed in the Clearwater Revival. The Bryant one, I'm sad to see him like not be a Cub, but he does stay like in the Arizona side, and he's with the Giants. And
you can still stock him, so it's fine. Right?
He's a free agent. They traded Canario. The Giants, how they bolstered their roster, it's fine. But if you compare it to like what the rest of the division did, this is like a low impact, keep up with the Joneses type of situation, because they didn't make like the Giants, in my mind, needed to make a bevy of moves, and they didn't. They didn't make any pitching acquisitions. I'm trying to see where, I guess, Bryant could play all over. That's a great thing. And the Giants have, Belt on the IL and Longoria.
What were the Padres moves? It was just Adam Frazier, right?
They took
because they were involved in everything, but I feel like all they got was Frazier.
I thought they did some. I mean, now
they probably did like a relief pitcher move here or there or something.
Oh, Daniel Hudson.
They got Marisnik.
They got Daniel Hudson
Marisnik late, but I mean, those are. I'd rather have Chris Bryant, and they were supposed to have gotten Max Scherzer.
I totally agree. Well, and they also whiffed on Jose Barrios, which we'll talk about in a second. Which that one is wild. But I mean, the Padres are just like exponentially a better team. Maybe they're not playing better, but they are a better team. And they made a couple smaller moves. They got Daniel Hudson, they got Frazier to go along with a bolstered up rotation. It's hilarious thinking about the radio show because we were talking about Scherzer in this lineup, and he goes to the Dodgers. But Bryant trade, it's great for the Giants. Cubs fans, so let's focus on that for a second too, dude. The freaking Cubs. Can you imagine being a Cubs fan right now? Can you imagine that city and how they work? They just
feel a little bit sorry for the Cubs. They just won the World Series. Look, they just won the World Series in 2016, and they're going nowhere with this group of players. And this is, the last, semblance of the squad that won the World Series and all that stuff. But they are going nowhere.
Well, they're going to go nowhere anytime soon.
Sure, well. but it's time to punch your ticket all the way out. So let's get those bleacher seats for cheap. All those matinee games will be sparsely populated moving forward for the next couple of years.
Our boy Zito has got he's got season tickets, so I think he might be able to. I'm not sure how many games he's going to be going.
Less traffic going to the games, cheaper parking probably. I'm just assuming. So,
they made the most trades. Rizzo goes to New York, which was a wild move. I think it's a huge plus, by the way, for Rizzo's fantasy value, and not a destruction of Voit at this point because Voit didn't get traded, but it just becomes more expendable and is not full on playing time. It's a great move for.
You want to hear what Roster Resource has as their lineup moving forward?
For what, the Yankees or the Cubs?
For the Cubs.
Yeah, I do in just a second. Save that. I absolutely do. So they trade Rizzo. The Baez trade actually happens, which
that was like at the buzzer.
Hilarious. What do the Mets love to do more than anything else on the planet?
Trade away their top prospects.
Trade away their top outfield prospect, and they freaking did it again, trading Pete Crow Armstrong to the Cubs, which if you look at the lower system, the Cubs help their system so much more. So Baez goes to the Mets, going to play second or short or however they're going to do it.
If you look at that track record, Welsh, it always works out really well for the Mets trading. So
it's been great.
I mean, look at all those banners they have. It's been incredible for them.
It's been great for them. Then they trade Kimbrel to the White Sox, an intercity trade, and they got Nick Madrigal, who's out for the year. So Nick Madrigal will line up with Nico Horner next year. So Kimbrel gone, Rizzo gone, Bryant gone. What do they have to show for it? From a major league perspective, they are going to have Nick Madrigal next year. And from a minor league perspective, they've got Pete Crow, Canario, Alcantara. They just exponentially improve their outfield for the future. But those guys Canario's 4 or 5 years away. Pete Crow is out for the season. And Pete Crow and Canario are 2 years away at least. So they've got nothing in that, but they helped build up what maybe they weren't comfortable with the minor league system.
Right.
But that has dealt to read off that lineup now for what the Cubs are going to have.
I mean, okay. Leading off in center field, Rafael Ortega. Batting second at catcher, Wilson Contreras. Batting third at third base, Matt Duffy and his cat.
Duffy.
Wait.
Where's Wisdom?
Batting cleanup at first base, Patrick Wisdom. Batting fifth at left field, Ian Happ, Mr. Smiley, then Jason Hayward, then David Bodie at second, and Sergio Alcantara as your starting shortstop. They have right now one bench hitter on this roster resource. I mean, obviously they'll have a bench, but it's only Robinson Chirinos right now.
Let me look at their system.
Who the f- is going to play for them today?
I don't know. You know what? Legit, if you and I were in Chicago and had a glove, we might be able to
get in there, fat boy. Let's go.
Yeah.
You can catch, right?
You guys don't have anybody else. Looking at their system for this season, dude, you know what's hilarious? One of the only guys they have. So this is what's so wild about this team. They are so built in the lower levels. They have dog crap in the higher levels, dude. Half of their prospect system is here in Arizona right now in guys like Reginald Preciado, who I think is an absolute stud, Ishmael Mania, Owen Casey, but those guys are years and years away. Ed Howard, years away. Christian Hernandez, the top international prospect from last year, he's in Dominican Summer League. They've got two guys, if you don't count Braylon Marquez, because they also traded, I completely forgot, they also traded John Lester. Or no, John Lester was with the Nationals. I thought, did Hendricks get traded?
No, he didn't. He's
okay. I'm like legit, like I don't even remember who got traded.
Your head is spinning because it should be spinning. Yeah, they got Hendricks, Alzolay, Davies, and Mills. They did trade one star. I can't remember who it is, though.
So they have,
I can't remember.
So here are the two guys that could possibly come up from their system of impact. I'll name you a couple other players in a second, but Brennan Davis won MVP in the Fall Stars game, but I mean, he's at Double-A and he started the season at High A. He has 45 games played at Double-A. If they wanted to push that, they could do it. And the other one is stupid Miguel Amaya. And Miguel Amaya's a catcher. Well, and you got Wilson Contreras.
Well, here's the nice thing if you're a Cubs fan is they have $51 million on the payroll for next year. That's it. So they can go on a gigantic spending spree if they want. They can bring in pitchers. They can bring in hitters, obviously. They can spend a ton of money. But I'm
looking who is a free agent.
Why would you?
Year. Okay, here are your free agents you've got.
Well, half these guys that just got traded are free agents.
Yeah. Bryant's going to be a free agent. You've got Greinke, Voldemort, because I think there's some. I think it's a free agent no matter what.
Yeah.
Verlander, Arenado, Kershaw, Scherzer, JD Martinez, Cueto, Posey, Bryant.
You just sign all those
Simeon,
guys.
Freddie. You just got to sign all the guys. That's what the Cubs are going to do. Guys.
You'll be good. What are you worried about, Cubs fans?
Trevor Story. Story might be good in Chicago.
Listen, you can sign a handful of those guys. You know, maybe one frontline starter and a couple of hitters, and you're going to be at least in the running. You know, they have. I mean, this is one of the teams that I keep mentioning. Prince money. Everyone loves the Cubs. So they'll be okay.
The market's depending because some of those I mentioned are player options. Some are club options. Like Arenado's a player option, $35 million. Guess what? Probably going to punch that ticket. Bowers, by the way, is a player option, but not sure he's going to have that choice. There's some other team options, but like Stroman and Gossman are there. Blackman has a player option of $21 million. I'd imagine he's going to check that box. But Freeman is a true free agent, it looks like. Castellanos is a player option. I'll bet he hits the market. You've got Corey Seager, I believe, is a full-on free agent. So, yeah, I suppose that they can do some retooling. Carlos Correa is going to be back out there. Baez is going to be back out there. So we'll see. You know, maybe God knows what they could do. But they overhauled this thing. They traded everybody. It's going to be brutal. So so the other prospects. So here's like a couple guys. Maybe they could give some run. Alfonso Rivas, who was with the A's and he played at U of A. He's in AAA right now, hitting 272. He's got 4 homers. He can play first. He can play maybe a couple different spots. Maybe he gets some run. Chase Strumpf. Let me see. Where the hell is he right now? He's in
who cares? Honestly, I'm just saying,
people are trying to dig for some fantasy value of guys that could come up because they're a barren wasteland. They're a barren wasteland of players. Like you just said, they don't have a bench players. Like those are some guys. I'd be interested, by the way, in both of them if they got called up that I just mentioned. And Strumpf, who's unlikely, but Rivas maybe. But other than that, the Cubs are going to be putting out maybe one of the worst rosters in baseball. Maybe the worst roster rest of season.
I mean, is Cespedes around? I mean, go
sign Puig.
Yeah, sign Puig, your friend, Cubs. Do something. So, but I mean, it's mainly going to be Duffy and Bodie and all those guys. Those are the guys that are going to benefit with extra at bats, and I don't even know if they're worthy of pickups. Maybe they get on a nice hot streak and all that stuff. But your best option on the Cubs is probably Patrick Wisdom.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's so brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Where to go? Okay, so how about the effing Blue Jays trade? Holy crap! I actually had tuned in. I think Nick and Spore did like a trade deadline thing, and this trade had just gone down. This one was whatever you think about it. I don't care. I don't care if you're a defender or not. It was shocking that the Minnesota Twins traded Barrios, and they got not only Simeon Woods Richardson, but Austin Martin, who was the 5th overall pick in this last draft, who is a top valued prospect. But it is interesting. It's coming at a time that I was even evaluating, because I've had him pretty high, to consider, like, are we overvaluing him just a little bit? Like, that's been in my mind, because accounting stats haven't quite been there. But, like, the thing I would always be mindful of, and I'm going to talk on Prospect One about all the prospects are going to be talked about on Prospect One if you want to listen to it. But Martin specifically, it's like, you got to let these guys have time to develop. And he's had a really good sense of contact. He's always been that player. And you're going to grow. You're going to grow into your body, and he can play multiple positions. That I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's, this is a major prospect. Got a pro body, still growing into it, but the counting stats haven't been there. I was ready to kind of like, all right, we need to change the valuation of where we are on him. And then you see this, and you get a lot of scouts out there saying he is overrated, and you're seeing a team step off of him to this degree. You have to consider that in like your overall value, especially from a fantasy perspective.
I understand that completely, but this is my thing about waiting till the trade deadline to trade, because you get so much more at the deadline when teams become desperate, and that is exactly what happened. It doesn't matter. You would
have got way more for Bryant had you had sold him in the preseason than what you just did here. But your Barrios point is you're dead on.
Specifically for pitching in baseball is,
okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because when Scherzer got dealt, now who's the best option? Well, Barrios is the best option. A lot of people don't like Barrios. He's fine. I would say he's a mid-range SP3 on your fantasy team. You know what I mean? He's not blowing the doors off of anything. Yeah. But for baseball, that's a huge piece. And
he's in a much better spot in Toronto, where they're actually going to win games, and they've got offense supporting. Minnesota was dog crap.
Yeah, but he's been so wishy-washy. You know what I mean? It's like he goes out and he looks dominant for a couple starts, then he looks like a number 5 starter for a while. Like, he just hasn't put it all together quite yet.
I agree. Better offense, better defense. I think both are better around him, and he's been okay this year. I like it.
Let's just say Austin Martin Welsh is let's say you don't waffle about it. He's just not that great. Where are you going to move him down? Like, as a top 150 prospect now? Because he still has upside, but he's just playing terrible right now. Like, how far down does he drop at your kind of floor level for him?
I mean, I'm not 100% following what you're saying. Like, I mean, I'm not going to drop him outside the top 50.
Okay. Okay. Well, there you go. So you're not dropping him outside the top 50,
but we could get there. I'm not. If you're asking me, like,
sure, we could get there in years, but right this second, what's the farthest down you would drop him?
Oh, I mean, I don't think I'm going to drop him outside of the top 30. He's going to still be inside the top 30 for me. But there are arguments. Like, I'm going to have him higher than that still, because I'm a little bit more of a believer. I like the position flexibility, and he should be playing sooner rather than later in that Minnesota lineup. So I think there's a lot of pluses that people aren't giving credit for, but he could only be like a 15-15 guy.
And where's Woods Richardson?
He was right near the top 100.
Okay, so
by the way, he's in Japan playing for Team USA when this happened. Probably didn't even hear when he got traded. Woods Richardson, great athlete, but been a kind of like primary 2-pitch pitcher, could go in the bullpen, but he was having a decent year, and then it kind of fell apart.
Okay, so you take this deal that they got for Barrios. Yeah. What is an equivalent deal from the Padres, from the Red Sox, like that?
Oh, okay. Well, so here was a rumor, and I had been like really hard about this, which is kind of hilarious. I had been saying there's no chance Robert Hassel gets traded whatsoever. And there was a rumor, and I'm using him because that's the name. There was a rumor that the Red Sox and Padres were talking Robert Hassel in some deal. And I was like, oh my God, what are we doing here? Like he was going to be in there. I think 100% Minnesota probably started and said, we want Gore and Hassel. And they just went, no. They said, we'll give you Gore. But I thought Hassel was off the table. The equivalent deal to that, to actually answer your question, it's tough because they don't have a pitcher like Simeon Wood Richardson. So it probably was Gore and Hassel. And then maybe, Minnesota had to,
had a reliever or whatever. Sure.
Maybe it's Rogers. They kick back like Taylor
another
Rogers,
prospect,
or they kick
somebody
or money or something like that. And San Diego was just not willing to do it. And they probably were like, hey, listen, we're not going to just take Gore. Cause I think San Diego was making Hassel. I think Hassel and Abrams were untouchable.
So but see, this is what I'm talking about. Before the deadline, there is no way you would have said, yeah, I can see a Barrios for Austin Martin deal, right?
You're 100% right. You're 100%
just no
right.
way. And that's why, you wait until the deadline to do those deals. Maybe I was being a little overzealous talking about any deal. Maybe it's just more starting pitchers, especially when you have the front line. But if you could go back and forth between San Diego and Boston and Toronto and say, hey, look, I've got Toronto on the hook for Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson. Can you beat it? And they say, well, we can, but we're not going to. That's just the point that you get to. Yeah. So teams get desperate. And the Padres, make no mistake, the Padres were desperate, and they just didn't get the deal done. They were ready to deal for Scherzer. That would seem locked in. And then, the Dodgers came over the top and raised them and traded a ton of talent to Washington.
I don't think I traded a ton. Like, it was a fine trade. Like JoJo Gray, he's solid. He's really good.
So his name is JoJo now.
Josiah. Well, that's like his nickname. He's just
no.
JoJo.
I understand. I'm just saying, like, we got to call him JoJo now.
That's you can call him whatever you want. I like Bobby Miller and Ryan Pepio. I think might even be a touch better. And they didn't get them, and then they got Keibert Ruiz. So it's like San Diego. I look at this again. I go, okay, what was San Diego offering? Were they saying we'll trade you Gore? So what is the equivalent in San Diego terms? It might have been Gore and Capusano, which, by the way, worlds better, I think, than maybe not worlds. I shouldn't be that dramatic about it, but it's better than Josiah Gray and Keibert Ruiz. But Washington might have, in their evaluation, been like, it's not that far off. Gray has been performing better than Gore, and guess what? Keibert Ruiz, he's back. Campusano is fine. So that may have, I would imagine that was what the holdup was. And maybe San Diego just said, well, guess what? We'll give you Gore and something else. And then that's why Dodgers come in and said, well, we'll give you the catcher and the pitcher that you're looking for, plus a couple other pieces in it. And it makes it work. And hey, listen, the strong hand won this time. The nuts deals, prospects moving left and right. Some of the other deals, the Yankees acquired Andrew Heaney from the Angels, which, that's a solid.
Yeah, Eno had a tweet about how underrated Heaney is because, like, all of his command and his spin rate and all those, like, plus, they're all plus. He just has not hit that. And they're thinking maybe if he gets with a new pitching coach, they can kind of unlock that stuff to work for him.
How smart am I going to sound, by the way, on the radio this weekend? Not when you listen to the Dodgers, Max Scherzer stuff, but when you listen to my Yankees stuff and how over the last month I've been on the Yankees, and the Yankees go out, not only get Gallo, they get Rizzo, they get Heaney. I mean, they really, really are going for it, where, it seems like Boston and whatnot just really didn't do it. The Rays tried. There was a rumor with Chris Bryant, but the Yankees were the most active, and they really pushed their chips in. We talked about Philly got Kyle Gibson and Kennedy, and they traded Spencer Howard. So they're off the Spencer Howard train. And I love Spencer Howard. Great stuff, but just inconsistent and can't go deep into games. And this is a weird one. Philly fans are pissed. I'd be kind of pissed as well, because it's like, what is Kennedy going to do? Is Kennedy going to save games there? And then you've got Kyle Gibson, who's solid. I mean, that's great for Kennedy.
Kennedy's going to save games for
sure. That might be the only place
he
he could save his trade value.
I think there's other places he could have gone, but it's great for him. He could have gone to San Francisco, and I think that would have been much better. But I don't hate this deal for Philly. I think it's fine, but I don't think it's like a blockbuster. This is a deal you do, and you go, all right, we'll trade Spencer Howard. We're kind of off on him anyway. Maybe this will get us somewhere. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I'm more the Braves, dude, and all the moves that they did.
I was about to go to them. Yeah.
God.
Well, real quick, I want to make one more comment before we do that. This is the year of teams just cutting the cord quicker than they've ever done before, because Spencer Howard is reminiscent of Luzardo, and it's like these top prospects that they were given some time. There are some issues, and teams are like, we don't have time. We're not going to do this. You know, they come to evaluation. They say, we're not going to play around anymore. We're moving off of it. And they said, you know, maybe the upside, we get Kyle Gibson, that's Spencer Howard for the next couple of years, and we get a bullpen piece. Yeah. On the same side as the Cubs getting all those moves, the freaking Braves retooled and traded for all the outfielders. None of them particularly good, but they traded for Adam Duvall. They got Jorge Soler at the last minute. And I didn't even see it until we started doing this. They got freaking Eddie Rosario. They got Eddie Rosario, which I wasn't even paying attention to.
By the way, they traded for Jock Peterson before that. So where are all these?
Play first.
Yeah, well, okay, but Freddie Freeman can play first too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what are we doing with all these outfielders there? I think Duvall and somebody else are going to platoon. Obviously, Duvall's a bench
hit, like probably Soler and Duvall,
and probably Duvall and Jock. I was going to say, but because I think you bring in Soler for the power. Look, Soler will get hurt.
Soler's been trash also this year.
That's true, but he's starting to hit homers now. But yeah, man, what they did was nuts, and they didn't add. I thought they were going to add a starter. I was a little surprised they didn't do that. Yeah. They did add Richard Rodriguez, which, I mean, is he going to go in there and immediately take the job over from Will Smith? I would think so, but I don't know. Sometimes he seems like to keep their entrenched closer.
It's funny because I was going to save that as like a last thing for you, because your big thing this whole year was like, you know, hey, wherever he goes, Rich Rodriguez is going to be the leading closer. And he might save more. I think your big take was he will save more for the new team. Boggs, I got to tell you, I think this is a fantastic spot for him. And you're right. Will Smith could still be the guy, but there's no guarantees that that's going to happen. You know, he also lefty Will Smith. They might move across them, even though he's got 21 saves. This is a decent chance for Richard Rodriguez to come in and be the power closer, and Will Smith can be more of a leverage type of guy. Right. But we got a couple of these because I don't think there's any guarantees that Ian Kennedy is the closer. Not that their bullpen is good, but you also got just hold on. You got that.
Yeah, no, I got you.
You got Diego Castillo, who I think could close going to the Mariners. That was a solid trade, but there's no guarantee. The Rich Rodriguez one, and then here's the worst one. We didn't even really talk about it. When Kimbrel went to the White Sox, they said they're going to let Hendricks and Kimbrel have save opportunities,
which is just bad for both of them.
It crushes both. Like one of the best closers and the guy that I have all the shares of. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that Kimbrel one really bites. What you really need to do is just hope that Hendricks goes in there and gives up a couple runs, and they go, all right, Kimbrel's our guy. That's the end of the Hendricks experiment or whatever. But they just paid Hendricks so much money. So I can't imagine that they don't want him closing most of the games.
How many trades on today happened, do you think? Because I know like all 30 teams made a trade. They didn't. The only thing we didn't talk about, and we're kind of short on time here, but like 30? The Diamondbacks are embarrassing. But the Diamondbacks are embarrassing.
Well, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies are both terrible.
Well, Rockies are the most embarrassing. The Diamondbacks are embarrassing because they made one move for nothing, and they left the deadline with David Peralta, Cole Calhoun,
all these guys Kelly. That could be role players on other teams.
Unbelievable.
I'm kind of glad we kept Kelly. Other than that, the rest of those guys could have gone. And I know I love David Peralta, and I'll love watching him for the rest of the year and all that stuff. But if you could have got something back, just some piece that will help you in the future somewhere, even if it's a relief pitcher, go get him. What are you doing? Well, I love David Peralta. Well, what's he doing here? Wasting away. That's it.
Yeah. Your favorite trade for fantasy?
My favorite trade for fantasy.
That's a tough one. I'll give you the couple days.
Yankees. Gallo to the Yankees.
Because you know what? I think I agree, but I was going to say Rizzo to the Yankees. I think it might have been all the Yankees moves, all the Yankees trades. I mean, even Heaney's a nice one. I think the devastation, it's got to be Hendricks and Kimbrel, right? Two of the top closers in all of baseball are going to be sharing, and there's no definitiveness across it now.
Yeah, and my hope is, and I hope everyone's with me on this, is that the Braves just drop Rich Rodriguez in there to close out games for the Braves from day one, because other than that, I don't see a way he gets 15 saves in the last 50 games here. So let's go, Richard Rodriguez. Make me look like a genius. Come on, Braves.
I'm trying to look. I'm seeing like, is it like 11 or 12 trades that happened today? Maybe even a couple more.
Than that. More than that.
I mean, the Cardinals acquired Lester, and we forgot Jay Happ was involved in it. I mean, it had to be north of 15.
Jay Happ for Gant is just, what are you doing? That's the same guy. Like, what are you trading for? Because Jay Happ has experience. Who cares?
This is wild. This deadline. Well, Miles Straw got traded, by the way. Did you see? The Indians in the trade, that sneaky little trade, they got Pablo Sandoval in one of them, and
Did
then
they really?
Yeah, but it was just to immediately release him, and then they acquired Miles Straw, and he is apparently going to be available. That could be an interesting one. Miles Straw, given if he's getting all the playing time, that would be a really positive.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough in our last thing here of like, who are the guys that benefited. All the teams that traded off guys, I'm not sure there's clear-cut stuff because there were a lot of prospects involved here. So it wasn't like, the Cubs unloaded all this major league talent. So who benefits? Nobody really. But then all these other teams like the Twins. Oh, here's one. Andrew Heaney getting traded. You guys might want to look at Reed Detmers. Reed Detmers having a phenomenal year, AAA, absolute stud. And he could potentially take that rotation spot. That's a prospect to take a look at. But I don't see a lot of these other trades and see room for prospects to start jumping up. If Brennan Davis did, that would be huge. But I just don't see there's any chance at it. So
I didn't even see where Michael Chavis went. Where to the Pirates?
He went to the Michael Chavis was traded. Remember Michael Chavis?
Remember Berries? I gotta go, dude. I got a pod to record. So
gotta go.
We gotta go.
All right, friends, patreon.com/ITLArmy. Do the thing. Come and check us out. Emergency podcast for you. A little bit of reactions. Prospect updates over on Prospect One, probably dropping tomorrow. And we'll be back for all the craziness next week. That's it. Bogman and Welsh. Trade deadline. Holy
See ya.
Are you living with pain? Putting off treatment? At North Shore University Health System's Orthopedic and Spine Institute, we're committed to caring for you safely. Online, on the phone, or in person, practicing the latest safety protocols. As Illinois' only hospital dedicated to patients with neck, back, and joint issues, we work together with one goal. Your goal. Living your life pain-free. So don't delay. Get the care you need now. Visit northshore.org/ortho.
This message is brought to you by Wonder Wellness Cannabis Gummies. Where is your journey to wellness taking you today? Wonder offers the convenience of effects-forward, low-dose gummies to take you there. Relax, laugh, or focus. It's your choice. It's cannabis in control. Discover the wonder of cannabis and wellness. Visit us at wonderwellness.co. These products are intended for persons 21 plus in Illinois. Individual experiences may vary.